What's going on, guys? Evan the Dark Souls enthusiast here, bringing you another Dark Souls gameplay commentary on the Xbox 360. This is another part of my Elly installment of videos where I walk you through this character's developmental life cycle through the acquisition of valuable items through the defeating of bosses. Very similar to a Let's Play, only I sort of edit some things out and do a little time grinding off-screen, stuff like that. Just minor alterations, and they're done post-commentary because that's just my preferred style. The Let's Play stuff will Let's Play live commentary will probably be on like an all-caster build or something like that. Something just to mix it up. I've spent a lot of time commentating the Catacombs and the Tomb of the Giants, and this is going to be the last installment of those videos in the Catacombs. I mean, the Elly series has a lot to go, of course, but we're finally going to be out of the Catacombs for a long time until I come back to kill Nito, the Grave Lord. Pretty excited about that. And since we've already talked about this area so much, I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm going to actually talk about some musts and must-nots in PvP in preparation for the upcoming PvP videos later. But, you know, that's this, that, and the other thing. Probably don't need to give a huge introduction if I'm just going to jump into it, but a couple things I want to throw out there. This video has some editing, cutting out some quick walking time, stuff like that. Nothing you guys will even notice or worry about. The conclusion of this video is Elly finally being able to purchase all the miracles she's wanted all game long. Primarily Wrath of Gods, which a lot of people fault as the noob switch, and I'll elaborate more on that in another video, but in the meantime, we're just excited to be finally getting all the miracles we need. In the previous video, we rescued the priestess, the maiden, so now we're good to go. Now we can really get our game on. With that said, let's talk a little bit about PvP, just a little overview. I think the most important thing people overlook in PvP, if they're just getting into it for the first time, is Poise. They don't know how it works. Some people never really know how the stat works at any stage of the game, but in PvP it's absolutely critical. There are some things that are some givens, like, you know, one's going to assume you're wearing the Darkwood Green Ring and stuff like that. I guess I'll do an overview of PvP, but the focus eventually is going to be Poise. First off, 90% of PvP characters are going to be wearing the Darkwood Green Ring as one of their two rings. This is the ring that dramatically increases your equip burden, even more so than Havel's, but it also gives you a special roll animation. It's basically the most powerful ring in the game for any kind of character, period. It's a universal catch-all ring. It probably needs a little bit of rebalancing, but it's not a big deal. That's just sort of something to keep in mind, is that when you plan out your character, you should probably plan on wearing the Dark Moon or Darkwood Green Ring. I don't see any other ring that can possibly compete with it unless we get another patch, which I'm not counting on, but it's always possible. I can't say it's not going to happen at all. But that said, let's talk about your other ring choices quickly. Now that the Ring of Fog's been nerfed, you can actually lock onto Foggers. It's not that strong anymore, not that popular of a choice. There's a lot of rings that are for like specific character builds, and I'm not going to go into every possible ring your character could ever wear. I'm not going to talk about every ring ever. I'm just going to talk about some really common choices that go on a lot of different builds. The Bellowing Dragon Crest ring, which increases spell damage, sorcery damage, really good choice on casters, and its cousins, sort of, that boost miracle power. Those are powerful choices on their respective characters, of course. Self-explanatory. Other popular choices include Havel's ring with Darkwood Green Ring, so you have a ridiculous amount of item encumbrance. So you can wear like extremely heavy armor like Havel's, but still move with full mobility without having to stack endurance. It's not common, but it's a strong choice. I don't like it because I don't like to give up both my ring slots. Ring of Favor and Protection is a great catch-all ring. 20% more equip burden, 20% more life, 20% more stamina, I believe. Yeah. Another sort of catch-all ring. The problem is once you put that on, you're committing to it for life because it breaks if you take it off. So at that point, if you're going to use that ring at all, you should for sure plan your character to use it right from the start. Like, just know dead on you're going to wear that ring, so plan out your armor to take advantage of that added encumbrance. Everything like that. Really is a great ring. Hard to argue not wearing it on a character, but there's some other strong choices, and especially situational rings that you deny yourself access to. Another really strong ring choice is, well, the Hornet's ring is really popular in PvP. I don't necessarily endorse it, but it is really popular. The Hornet's ring dramatically increases backstab damage, which is a big deal because backstabs already are the primary way people win their PvP fights, and sticking that on just almost guarantees you can one-shot people. So those are the most common ring choices. I mean, there's some other ones like that I'm not going to allude to. Just know there's a lot of ring choices, but those are the ones you're going to see a lot. One more before I leave the topic is I should probably mention the Wolf's Ring, which gives you 40 Poise when it's equipped. That's really nifty, and that's a good segue into how Poise works. For those of you who have played fighting games, Poise is actually a lot like Hyper Armor in that it allows you to take hits without actually getting stunned in hits you would normally get stunned by. So, like, if you have no Poise, pretty much everything's going to stun you. You know, you get hit by a katana one-handed, and you'll probably get stunned. You know, by stun, it's pretty self-explanatory. You get hit in PvP, and your character staggers, and you can't do anything, and they can hit you again and try to stun lock you and stuff like that. Poise lets you actually take a hit, and your character just keeps going on strong. Like, it lets you just hit them back, which is great. Definitely a very valuable stat. I really can't recommend PvP without it unless you're just going to go on like the all-skill plan. Like, I'm never going to get hit. It's going to go flawless. I'm just going to backstab them and kill them. No problem. Poise is for chumps and scrubbies. And you know, that is an attitude many people take, and I endorse that. If you can make that work, there's really not a good reason not to, honestly. But I can't. I need a little bit of Poise. When it comes to Poise, there are specific breakpoints, though, which is kind of unfortunate. It narrows your character builds even more. But it doesn't just become a matter of get as much Poise as you can. It becomes a matter of reaching certain plateaus that dramatically change how the character will work thereafter.
Well, a pity that is.
Sorry, my video editor. I'm using a new video editor, and it's behaving strangely right now, so I'm concerned about that. But I'll just carry on. I'll just list some of those breakpoints for you. 1 point under this under these numbers makes all the difference. Like if I say 54, it has to be 54, otherwise it doesn't work the way I say. And if I say 20, you know, anything between the two numbers is basically irrelevant. It's all about the breakpoints. You have to reach specific numbers, plateaus. Anything below the plateau isn't really worth having. Anything over that plateau is useless until the next plateau. Oh, and we're actually running out of time on this video. Wow, only a couple minutes left. Anyway, I just scrub right into those plateaus so you guys know. 40 Poise lets you take hits from daggers and katanas, all the smaller weapons, and you won't get staggered. This always goes to the first hit. The second hit will almost always inevitably stun you, so that's just something to keep in mind. 53 Poise, which is probably the most important breakpoint for player versus player. That allows you to take a two-handed claymore swing without getting stunned. That's really good, and obviously it'll let you take a one-handed too, because the one-handed does less damage. Now, just an FYI, damage doesn't really affect Poise very much. It's actually the weapon type that determines the amount of stagger it causes. So, you know, a lightning weapon that does 400 damage a hit, but is on a dagger, won't stagger you at all despite the damage. It's all about weapon type. 55 lets you take, you know, hits from two-handed curved swords like, Zawandier, for example. No, I'm sorry, Morocco. Now, you need 76 Poise to beat great swords, and that's a lot of Poise. Really, anything beyond 76 Poise is just... It's overstacking and won't do anything anymore. So, I would stop at 76 on any reasonable character, and personally, I think 55 and 53 are your aiming points. 53 is sort of an absolute must break point, in my opinion, for PvP, because the Claymore is really popular, and it's really good. The moveset's really solid, so definitely a good break point to have. But if you're at 53, it's almost like you should just push up to 55. That way you can take those two-handed katana swings, katana greatswords, which you will run into from time to time. With that said, I'll read off the quick breakpoints again, just so you guys have them refreshed here towards the end of the video. 40 Poise is katanas, daggers, short swords, long swords, things like that. 53 is the Claymore. 55 is the curved greatswords of all varieties. 76 is the big ultra greatswords like Zawandier's and stuff like that. Anything beyond that, as far as I can tell, is fruitless. I've tested these breakpoints myself, but the original research was done by posters on the Game FAQs message boards. Great site, by the way. That said, keep that in mind when you're making your character build. In later videos, I'll outline some good armor choices to, you know, maximize your Poise. I spent a lot of time crunching numbers on my armors to get my Poise just right and to get my encumbrance right where I want it and stuff like that, because I think customizing your characters is a great joy of Dark Souls, and I really take pleasure in that, and I'll elaborate more on that in later videos. Anyway, this is just more of a wrap-up vid to finish off the catacombs, and really excited to be out of there, you know. I'm still struggling with this new video editor and this new microphone. Just trying to break new territory for you guys. I hope everyone likes what they're seeing, and please, you know, keep watching. I really appreciate the fact that these are getting some views now and then. Alright guys, everyone take care, and I hope everyone is starting their New Year's off great. Alright, I'm out.